My name's Catherine Bearder. I'm the Lib Dem member of the European Parliament for the South East region.
First, tell us what you're calling on the EU to do.
Well, I want them to look and bring in some legislation on rabbit farming. We've never had rabbits farmed before in the way that they are being done now. And so there is no legislation to stop them. We've brought in legislation to stop battery hens, on stalls for pigs when they're farrowing, on veal calves. All of that sort of legislation is in place. There is nothing for rabbits. And we're finding that rabbits are being farmed in parts of Europe in the most appalling circumstances.
Is it because there hasn't been that same level of farming, that there isn't the same welfare standards in place? What's the reason for it? Well,
historically, rabbits were wild caught food. You'd get one for the pot, and that's how it's happened. Now they're being farmed, and the imports of rabbit meat into the UK has doubled over the last year. So it's a popular, fat-free meat, and it's a good meat to eat, but it has to be reared in a humane and sustainable way that doesn't make the life misery for the rabbits when they're growing up, and that consumers can be happy to say, well, I know that this meat has been reared sustainably and humanely.
Some producers could say, well, this is the only viable way we can farm them. And what would your response be to that? Are there alternatives?
Of course there are alternatives. We heard all that nonsense when we were talking about pig farrowing, when battery hens, people say, oh, there won't be enough eggs. We can do it better, and we must do it better for the sake of the animals that we want to eat. So those people that will opt right out and not eat meat, that's fine, but there are a lot of people that do want to eat meat, but they want to know that it is reared in conditions that they can be happy about, and so that's why we need that legislation. There is no legislation at the moment, so even the worst conditions cannot be enforced, and it's very difficult to do it through existing legislation. I want the Commission to come forward with good legislation, protects the rabbits, protects the farmers, gives them a good living, and protects the consumer so they know what they're eating.
Are there any health risks to the food chain with farming rabbits in battery cages?
Well, possibly. While they don't have the legislation, we don't know what happens when you have very high densities of animals. Diseases come in, and then the antibiotics are used. If you farm them humanely, you will get less need for antibiotics, which is what everybody is saying, that we must cut down on our antibiotic use. So farming rabbits is possible, but it has to be done correctly in small groups where they can interact with each other and have a reasonable life, and it is much more likely to be disease-free.
Just lastly, what response have you had from the EU so far?
Well, I've written to them. I haven't heard back, but I won't stop until I know that we've got some really good legislation in place. Consumers deserve it, the rabbits deserve it.